I'm just starting out this ride to Salt Spring, still in town. And it's raining. It takes a little bit of extra effort to get out the door. But doing it anyways. Just leaving Victoria around 9 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. Following the bike route, trying to stay off the main roads. One of the great things about this ride is you only have to be on the roads for about 10 minutes. This little alleyway, and I'm on the trail. And pretty much I'm off any kind of main road all the way to Salt Spring. There's a couple little roads that really not very busy ones. Coming up to the trail here. All right. Let's see, probably about 30 kilometers to go. One thing about starting a ride like this is to remember to pace yourself. Because if you start off strong, you're gonna burn out fast. Do these trestles in Saanich as we go along the trail. This is the old railway track a long time ago. Rails make great trails. So here's the bike. I've got a little thing on the front here to carry my cell phone, keys, wallet, all the valuables, a couple bottles of water down here. And I've got all my gear strapped on the back, including tent, sleeping bag, extra clothes, food, stove, all that stuff. And I'm just starting to leave the city and get into the more rural areas. There's a convergence of trails here, but it's starting to go from pavement to dirt. Section of trail has got to be one of my favorite in Saanich. And the sun has come out on this beautiful Saturday. Bit of blue sky, birds are flying through the fields. Looks like a hawk is hunting over there. Beautiful. Couldn't have asked for better weather. It's nice and cool. Sun is shining. Oh, and if I'm lucky, the pigs will be out. I know these pigs. Oh, you just wait. This is the best part. Let's see if the piggies are home. Oh, there they are. Hello, piggies. Hi, buddy. Look at you. You guys look like you're tired, hey? Too much hogging around? Oh, big pigs. Look at the size of this guy. Or girl, I'm not really sure. They are just massive, hey? Gorging on onions and oranges by the looks of it. Cabbages. That guy's still got food in his mouth. Hey, buddy. So happy pigs. Well, I can't be lazing around. I got a ferry to catch. Off I go. Kilometers, and it's almost 10 to 11. I don't think I'm going to make the 11 o'clock ferry after all. Not going to Vancouver today. Well, I did miss the 11 o'clock. I missed the cutoff by about 15 minutes, but definitely on the 1 o'clock, and that's fine with me. I'm gonna grab a coffee, find somewhere to read my book where I can see my bike and keep an eye on it. Not that there's many people at the ferries. I think they just loaded, but it feels like a ghost town here right now. It's probably because they just loaded. Got a coffee, and I made it here to Schwartz Bay, and can't really sit inside, and everything's a bit damp, but I got all my stuff. That's what matters. All I need now is patience. Bit of a sun shower we're having right now. Myself to berth 3 where the Salt Spring Island ferry is going from. Very cognizant of all the COVID stuff, and everyone's wearing masks, which is good. Oh, that sounds like me. I'm on the ferry now. Just gonna enjoy the ride over to Salt Spring. Nice to get a little break of cycling after, I guess it was something like 2 hours of cycling, about 30 kilometers so far. I have another 10 on the other side, but it's a lot of hills. It's nothing I can't handle, of course, especially after a nice, what will be almost a 3-hour break with waiting at the terminal for 2 hours. Read a couple chapters in my book though. So far the weather's cooperated. Little sun shower, little drizzle this morning, but mostly okay. Out of Fulford Harbor. The trick is to wait for all the traffic from the ferry to go by first. The other trick was to wait for the rain to stop, but I don't think the rain's gonna stop. What does the sign say? Ganges to the left. Ruckle Park, that's where I'm going, to the right. Apparently, it is frog and newt time. I've made it to Ruckle Park. Here's my little tent and my tarp, which I'm gonna try and set up over this picnic bench with some of my magic. This is my stove setup. I just buy a container of propane, and I've got this little guy that screws on top. It's pretty cool, actually. Nothing beats a little warm noodles when you're camping. I broke that thing into 4 pieces so it would fit inside my pot. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be delicious. I'm gonna poke it with a fork. Gonna have to pour off some of that water, I think. But not too much. I like to have a little soup in my Mr. Noodles. Boil, baby, boil. Well, the tent's old and not exactly waterproof anymore. It's been dripping down to the floor right here. There's a wet spot already. Not where I put my sleeping bag, luckily. I've decided that when I'm done eating, and the next time there's a break in the rain, that I have to use my tarp that I was going to cover the table with to cover my tent, because my tent is not waterproof at all, and it's dripping everywhere inside. I'm kind of concerned about it, just in case it rains all night long. So I know my tarp is a little bit newer and more waterproof than this thing, so somehow I'll figure out a way to put it over top. That's my plan. Now if that would just break in the rain a little bit for me, that'd be nice. So I can actually do that. A little break in the rain is just the right time to rejig my tent, which I managed to do. I have some rocks here holding this line that goes to a pole, like a hiking stick. These are carbon, so they're super light. That's why I bought them to bring with me. And this one is the same story. I can actually tighten that up. It's pretty solid. And then this one is just going to the picnic bench. It's my bike. You can see what I did here to add a little extra protection to my leaky tent. Unfortunately, back here, I didn't want to move anything, but there's basically bedrock and soil, so this peg got about that far in before I had to just put some rock on it. This is the MAC Silicon Scout tarp. I'm not sure they even make this exact one anymore, but this one is also in about as good as it can get. Next time it rains, guaranteed it will, I'm hoping that it keeps me a bit drier. Never ceases to amaze me how resilient and tenacious some of these plants are. If you look here, you have a mossy root that's just digging right through what's basically just bedrock. Probably just took hold a while back and now has grown into a small arbutus tree that's just clinging to life on the edge of this rock. I was thinking about how I have anxiety about taking off and doing these things. It's usually because I think I'm going to forget something. But in the end, it's all about being resilient myself and just going for it. Today's mantra earlier was pacing myself, and in the end, I didn't pace myself at all. I rushed to the ferry and I missed it. But I think that the resilience in me didn't mind. I just practiced patience and did what I think anyone would do and just wait for the ferry, which is okay. Sometimes you miss a ferry. And then when I got here and it was pouring with rain and my tent is leaking all inside, just gotta be tenacious and resilient, push through. Although I'm glad I have that other tarp. Good morning. It's 6:40 a.m. On a bit of a restless sleep, but that's okay. It's usually a restless sleep when you're sleeping in a tent. I've woken up to a little bit of wind and rain on the tent, but mostly it's 100% dry, so my double tarp system totally worked, which is awesome. Yeah, I've checked the weather and I think I have to be back on the 9:50 ferry to be able to get home and miss the worst of the rain, because there's more coming this afternoon. I think it's going to get much worse this afternoon, so if I try and catch the 9:50, then I'll get home mostly dry. That's the plan. Well, it's starting to get lighter out. Here's a little preview of my coffee setup. I have a filter. What I do is I just put it right in the cup, and then when it's done, I just prop it up because it's got these little hooks and let it drip. When that's done, I'm just going to put it on the second cup and then I'll drink my coffee. That's going to be awesome. So far the rain and the wind have just been kind of relentless. You can see the sun is starting to come up though, which is nice. There's nothing quite like coffee in the morning when you're camping. Especially when it's like just a little bit cold and damp outside and you have a nice warm cup of coffee. I like to bring my own oats, although I do add just a little bit of sugar, raisins, cinnamon. Brown sugar's the way to go. One good thing about having that tarp over my tent was that taking it down, I'm keeping that area dry while it drizzles on me. And I'm off once again, trying to catch a ferry. I didn't leave myself quite enough time, even though I swore I did. My bike is very heavy. It's carving through this sand and gravel right now. This island is all hills. I don't know if you can tell, but this is a pretty steep grade. Probably 12%. Hard to say. It sure feels like a lot to me right now. Carrying a maybe 80-pound bike with all the gear on it. It's a hard push across the island today. Stop, don't stop.